an extremely significant announcement in the world of sport, because Dame Laura Kenny, Britain's most successful female Olympian, has announced her retirement from cycling. Laura, what did she do? She won 5 Olympic golds and 7 World Championship titles in her cycling career. She became the first British woman to win a gold medal at 3 consecutive Olympics and is the most successful female cyclist in Games history. And I'm delighted to say she must be exhausted, but she's here this afternoon alongside Simon and myself. Dame Laura is in studio. Good afternoon to you.
Hello.
Hello. You are making the news in a very big way. I look up a little time ago and I see you on my monitor up there. I see you on my television up there. You're having a big day doing the rounds in the media world. But how are you feeling that the announcement, Laura, is out there in the public domain?
I mean, relieved more than anything, I think, to be honest. I mean, I made the decision 10 days ago, really. And
yeah.
It's just been like, I haven't been able to be openly honest about it, you know. And so after yesterday, it felt like a big weight had just gone, and I was like, I can finally tell everyone what my plans are. Yeah.
I mean, when you hear the list of achievements that I just read out, I mean, what is your overriding, pardon the pun, but what is your overriding feeling as to what you actually did? I mean, do you sit and pinch yourself and you think, geez, I did actually achieve all of that?
I mean, yeah, like, it doesn't feel like my life. Like, honestly, it's weird. If you told that 15-year-old girl who started to take it seriously, you're going to go on to win this, and then you're going to have a knighthood at the end of it, I would be like, no, that's not me. Like, that's someone else's life. And so it just feels really surreal. But I think, right, as British people, we never say, oh, good job enough. And like, I can honestly sit here and look back and say I'm genuinely proud of like the career that I was able to maintain.
For sure, and we're proud of you. You know, that's music to your ears, isn't it?
Very much so.
A British athlete, an English footballer, a boxer from these isles, all falls into that category.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have a tendency to over-promote people, and I also have a tendency to build people up so we can knock them down.
Yeah.
But also, when someone is elite, like this young lady is, then you have to call it for what it is and say that this is an elite sportsman that should be celebrated and given all the praise that goes with the achievements that she's brought to herself and her sport. So absolutely right, and people should be saying good job.
Oh,
well
thanks. Done. Thank you.
The thing is, Laura, you were still trying to make Paris and the Olympics in fairly recent times. So what really clinched it for you that now is the time to step back?
Well, obviously, I've had 2 different paths here. I had my first son before the Tokyo Olympics, and I was so fully committed to go into another Olympic Games, and I'd have just made anything happen. You know what I mean? I was moving hurdles out the way all over the place. I was having to re-qualify myself, and I was just really, really determined. But when Monty come along, it was just a very different process I was taking. Like, I found myself wanting to be at home a lot more. They would come in before any training session. I wasn't like on the phone saying, Mum, I need help. I need you to look after the kids because I'm going out for 4 hours. I was just avoiding that conversation. And then the more we got talking about this Olympic qualification and how it ends in April, felt like the time was running out, you know, and I was having to make a decision on whether I wanted to go to the Olympics, whether I wanted to go to the World Championships. And I felt like that 15-year-old again, where my tummy was like turning in knots because I just did not want to leave the boys again. And so that to me was warning signs that I think you're probably coming to the end.
I mean, motherhood and being a top sports person, I mean, how do the two marry together? Because it's a bit of a shift, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I call, like, Jason and I are organised carnage. Like, at home, it is just, like, utter mayhem. And we're so last minute with things. I mean, we joke about ringing the parents. I've had times where I'll ring my mum at 6 and I'm like, can you be round at 7 because we're going for a flight to Mallorca? And she's like, you're having a laugh. But it did work. But I do think that Jason and I painted this really pretty picture and made it almost look easy. And it wasn't. Like, it wasn't. Juggling the both was really quite difficult. And, like, yes, Jason and I were in a very unique situation that we were both doing it. So it wasn't like I was just leaving the kids at home with their dad. I was either leaving them with the grandparents or they were having to come with us. So it was unique and it was difficult, but we made it work, and I was willing to make it work, and I think that was the that was the biggest thing between the two like comebacks. Was one, I was very much willing and I wanted it to happen, whereas this time I didn't really want it to happen.
I'd love to see all the medals. Like, goodness knows where you keep them, what it looks like. 5 Olympic gold, 7 world championship titles. I mean, unreal. It's brilliant. What is your favourite standout moment in your career? There have been so many, and I've loved watching you over the years. Many people have. lots of people at Sky talk about you for what you did for British sport in general. What's the standout memory that you think, that was the one, they'll never take that away from me?
Oh, London 2012. I mean, it's pretty unique, isn't it, to have a home games and then you go to win your first gold medal too. And so like nothing will ever take that first medal away from me. Like just the girls, like, so it was obviously me, Danny and Joanna, because it was the team pursuit. The amount of work and time that went into that medal was just insane. Like, we literally lived in each other's pockets for 18 months, and for it to come off, and we did almost perfect a team pursuit. Like, that doesn't happen very rarely, let alone a home Olympics, So that one, for me is, my favourite.
I remember being here and going to the London Games, and it was special. But does the legacy of those games live on, Laura? Are they what I still think they are, or in the eyes of many, has it diminished a bit, the London Games?
I mean, obviously the tagline was inspire the next generation, and I do feel. I can sit here and easily talk about that from the cycling's point of view, and the amount of numbers of people that actually got on bikes, and the amount of number of females that got on bikes after 2012 was incredible. Like, it really did give it a boost. But I do think, to keep that going for female sport, we're on a massive upward mountain at the minute because of what the Lionesses are doing, and I feel like we do need that pumping back into cycling again at the minute, and it would be good, well, the Olympics is coming around, so it will happen, so we will get that boost, but we do tend to run in 4-year cycles, I think, with how, so it will be, we're on the telly, there'll be a boost in people getting on bikes, and then it dips again, and then it'll be like, oh, they're on the telly again, and that's sort of how cycling works.
See, I think that's such a great point, Simon.
Well, it's a bit like tennis in this country, but it's undeniable. I spoke to Sebastian Coe at length about the 2012 Olympics and the effect of it. And look at the medal totals that are projected into this next set of events. Yeah. We're talking about being at the top of the leaderboard now, whereas once upon a time we were nowhere in that conversation. So whilst there can always be more effect, whilst the effects can be longer and lasting and more significant at times, you cannot deny that the 2012 Olympics was a success for all aspects of Olympic sport, and that the legacy of it is producing better athletes competing at better levels and medaling repeatedly.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I just think because of how much negative energy was around that games happening, and then when it happened, it was just phenomenal, really, what an Olympics can do to a country.
There's a message there, Laura. You don't need to go into any great detail. It was Terry. Asked Laura, what actually goes on in the Olympic Village? Any saucy stories for us? I don't know what Terry's thinking about there. He's taking us in a totally different direction.
I mean, it's really weird being in an Olympic Village. I always describe it as being in a Big Brother house. It's like everyone's looking in, but you can't look out because you don't see anything. There's no newspapers or anything in there, so you don't actually know what is going on. And we didn't really go on social media and stuff either because it was very much, you're keeping your team as your team. But I mean, beforehand, it honestly, right, actually, when you're in the Team GB building, it is the most surreal building to be in. You've got so many athletes who are at the pinnacle of their careers and their sports.
Yeah.
And you're bumping into, I bumped into Andy Murray in the lift. And when you're like, what? It was just so random. And then you've got Tom Daley who comes back with his medal and you're like, what is happening? What sort of weird world am I living in?
Yeah, but Andy Murray's saying, well, I bumped into Dame Laura Kenny in the lift. So, I mean, that's how it works out. When you look at athletes, and you've seen them all around the world, but is there one who stands aside and that individual inspired you?
Well, I was lucky that Dame Kelly Holmes obviously competed at the Olympics and won her 2 gold medals right as I was getting into sport. And I never looked at her and thought, oh, I want to win 2 gold medals. It was never that. It was just the fact, it was the shock factor that was impressive for me. I mean, I was, 16, I think, at the time. And it was just the fact that when she crossed the finish line, she was genuinely what have I just achieved? Like, she was shocked, and that just sticks in my head. And then I was like, wow, like, I want to go to the Olympics.
Of
Like,
course.
I want a feeling like that.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.